Okay, guys, we'll move into the embargoed section now. So everything from this point onwards is embargoed until Monday at 6 a.m. So we'll move on to Gavin, please. Gavin?
Stephen, how you doing? Gavin Kubiski in the Irish Times.
Hi, Gavin.
Just clearly, just from listening to you talk today and last week, is you know your players inside out. But just how important is this week for them to be leaving to properly understand what you and your staff are about?
Yeah, I think there was an earlier question that Damien asked, what have you learned? I suppose some of the things that we're learning all the time after all the games in relation to the players' contribution. So it's we're able to, for example, do video analysis this morning on the previous games and areas of improvement, and so the players to see it with their own eyes. You don't get a chance to do that because obviously they're with their clubs. You can't really do it properly until you get in a room. But when you do get them into international camp, because, for example, you might get in on a Monday and your match might be or Sunday night or Monday, and the match might be Wednesday, and you might have a flight to Serbia or whatever. You've got to focus on Serbia and that. You can't be going back over stuff from previous matches and things. So I think it's hard getting the balance right on that, and I think it gives you an opportunity to do that. Then working on the training ground, the video the training, analyse the training. The players can look at areas that we want to improve on, and then adapting to the different systems of play, because the players dictate what players the best. The players that you have also influences what system you play. The two things, obviously, the opposition is a factor, and the players that are available. Obviously, in the last camp, James McLean was going off a foot injury, a long-term foot injury. Robbie Brady and Callum O'Dowda. Robbie wasn't 100%, and Callum O'Dowda was ruled out. So mainly our wide players were ruled out. Gave us an opportunity to play a different system, I think, which we probably would have considered against Serbia anyway, but probably not originally against Luxembourg. But I think so we've got to get better at that. We've got to get better at both systems. We've got to improve. We have to have a desire to improve, and some of our better performances, it goes without saying. Like, obviously, Hort's now looking at the Euros happening. Obviously, to lose the penalty shootout in Slovakia was devastating at the time, and those are the margins. I think really good performance in Serbia, and then we need to improve. Very, very inconsistent and sort of erratic performance against Luxembourg. So I think there's areas that we definitely need to improve. The players are well aware of that, and we need to give clear instruction and let them know what's expected of them in their different roles, and they need to. This week gives you an opportunity for them to understand that.
Is there even just an importance of them getting to, just as people, getting to know each other a bit more? Because this is probably the first time you've been really together, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know that we have sort of brought we've promoted a lot of players to the squad, over the last while, and I think so it is good for them to have a level of integration. And you've got people like Seamus Coleman who, really, like, I watched the game against Wolves last week when Adama Traore just accelerated. Seamus changed direction, and I seen him pull up, and he had to come off then. It was 82nd minute, he tweaked his hamstring, which had a difficulty. That probably would have ruled every other player out of this camp. But Seamus won't be fit for Andorra, but he's trying to get himself fit for the Hungary game, and he's come over and as a captain to lead, and and I think that speaks volumes for him.
Paul O'Hare, please.
Stephen, how are you doing? You well?
Hi, Paul.
Can I just two quick questions? You were talking about Anthony Barry there. Just in relation to your staff, have you made any decision on Rory Higgins previous role, and who may step in to do that role, or what are your thoughts there?
No, we haven't made any decisions. Obviously, Stephen Rice is on this trip with us. Obviously, Stephen was with Crystal Palace doing the 23s. They won last Monday night to the playoffs, so they won the cup. So he's enjoying that. So he's been doing some match reports over the year for me in London, sending reports on players and things like that. So so he just come out just for this camp, just as obviously with Anthony not been here either for the few days, and just some analysis on the opposition, and just an extra person working with the analysts, and so Stephen is here for this week, but that's only because he's very much a Crystal Palace coach, and he's just here for this camp. I'll make a decision on that in due course.
And you spoke to us before about the difficulty of COVID in a hotel environment when you're trying to integrate players, and you spoke to us before about the stuff that you wanted to do away from football, like music and all that type of things. What's the situation in Spain now? Like, what can you do away from football? What can you do to relax, to wind down as a group during this week?
Well, there's a few things planned. I think the first thing is a table tennis competition going on at the moment. That's the first thing. But there's a few dark horses there. I think definitely. I think Shane Duffy fancies his chances in that one. But now listen, there's various things going on, and in their spare time they get to play a bit of golf here as well, and there will be an element to that as well. There will be a period of relax for them as well when they're not training. So it is an opportunity for that as well. But listen, I suppose the other side of it is that we're not out of the woods yet. We still have to have protocols to a degree, and so hopefully we can get back to normality soon. Absolutely.
Cheers, Stephen.
Philip Quinn, please.
Stephen, not going too well for Conor Harden at the moment. Hope you're on the stage.
Is it?
You mentioned how his 2-0 down.
2-0 down,
his
isn't it?
commitment. Fair play to him after a long season. Did any players tell you that they needed a rest? Was there any players who took a different view to Conor?
I think there can be an element of pressure on clubs, from clubs on players. Some players might play in the championship, play 46 games, be playing every few days, and be playing with injuries, and they have to get them sorted out. Likewise, so some of the players that their bodies are never fully fit when they're playing through the end of the season sometimes, and there are a few actually operations, and there is a good few injections, and that's part of it. You would, if we were in the Euros now, would everyone be ruled out? Would all the players be ruled out? I suppose honestly, probably not. But I think that there can be pressure on from clubs onto players, and various decisions to be made. Probably because the games are viewed non-competitive. But ideally, we want our best. Ideally, we would want our best team available in an ideal world.
And just a quick second follow-up, Nathan. Thank you. Is it your conviction that James McCarthy and Jeff Hendrick will be available for selection in the World Cup in September?
Well, I don't. In relation to, Jeff definitely is available for selection. James, I think the question, I've spoken to James a few times. I think the question for James is, will his body, he just needs to get a new, get sorted out, and his body is obviously, it's been difficult to get a run of games under his belt, and like James loves playing for Ireland. I knew he loved when he was in with us, but just the demands of playing club and international football and combining them, he's just got to weigh all that up. And if he can get a run of games, well, then he wants to play. It's not a question of lack of commitment to Ireland or not. A bit of lack of commitment to Ireland. It's just a question of can he stay injury free and then combine international football with club football. And for him to do that, he needs to sort of have a run of club games under his belt, which he hasn't been able to get. And so I think it's more to do with that, like, than anything else. He, he's very close to quite a few of the players here, and he's trying to obviously he's out of contract at the moment, so I think his priority now is just to get sorted and with a new club in regarding that,
Thank you.
Okay, only a few more questions. Only got time for a few more questions. Sean O'Connor, if you could keep it to one, please.
Hi Stephen, how are you?
How you doing, Sean?
Just briefly, last week you touched on the fact that there's been only 1 or 2 international players produced in the last kind of 8 or 9 years. How pleasing is it for you to finally be addressing that? I think it's 13 debuts you've handed in your 11 games so far.
Yeah. Listen, I think I've made a decision because obviously I absolutely feel it's the right thing to do, and I think we have an emerging group coming through that a lot of coaches right throughout the country have worked extremely hard on over the years, grassroots level, bring them through their clubs. A lot of players gone to obviously England younger, they come through the international teams, and we have an exciting group coming through. Obviously some of them are having spells of doing well, followed by a spell of injury or an indifferent spell. It's not always going to be an upward curve for everyone. But I think that we have an exciting group. You see the centre halves emerging, for example, Darrell O'Shea coming into the team. We see Nathan Collins, who hasn't come in yet, who has a great chance. And you see Andrew Omabamadile, coming in, and so Nathan or Andrew haven't played yet, but they're two who have a really good chance. And there is a lot of players. I feel that. Listen, we were going through this morning's game, and Aaron Connolly gets taken down for the penalty with 20 odd minutes to go against Serbia, which is a definite penalty, and we with a chance to go 2-1 up. So we're disappointed we haven't got no points. We're not trying to not qualify for the World Cup. We're trying to do our utmost to qualify for the World Cup, and we've been disappointed about our last window. There's no getting it. Like, I'm not trying to deflect from that. I'm not trying to deflect from that at all. But what I do think is that, you're right. We've given 13 players their debut, and there's more of those to come through. So over the next couple of years, there will be a really, really strong cohort of players coming through, and for the really over the next European Championships, there'll be a really strong players. A lot of them will have 10 or 15 caps under their belt, 20, and I think when the Irish public will identify with these players, the Irish public will identify with these players, and when they're successful, it will be a great connection there. I feel a great connection, very powerful, and that's. But we've got to sort of start winning matches and take it from there.
Thanks very much.
One from Dylan O'Connell and then one from Owen Cowser, please.
Hi Stephen, just one quick one here. You mentioned about players coming through and how there's no new generation. And now there's a huge Cork contingent in the team between Tweeden Kelleher, Adamida, Chiosi Albene. But is that going to be good for chemistry within the Irish team, having all these players knowing each other, going back to the Cork Schoolboys League nearly?
Yeah, I was joking with Adam Ida and tried part of this morning when because not only have they got the Suffolk Norwich Ipswich derby, the Cork Dublin derby as well. So I think I asked them how could they possibly like each other, but I think they listen, there is a strong Cork contingent, all right. Already Kevin Long has obviously had the Achilles operation, which has ruled him out, and Sean McGuire is not from Cork, he's from Kilkenny, of course, was an adopted Corkman. And then you've got John Egan, Chidozie, Queeveen, Adam, and so forth. I'm leaving players out, I'm sure. So there is Conor Hoolahan, of course, Conor Hoolahan. So there is a very, very strong Cork influence in the team. That's right, it is, yeah, I know it is. And I suppose it's down to, the various clubs that have been coming through, Ringmat Rangers and College Corinthians and into some of them into Cork City and so forth, so it's been great.